The Atomic Real Estate Show, bringing you the real estate of real estate. Brought to you by Danny Bennett Productions in partnership with Direct Subs.
This episode is brought to you by our friends over at The Rook. You can reach them at The Rook Manioc on Instagram. They're located at 4001 Crescent Street. Our friends over at The Rook did not want us to focus on their business for the sponsorship, which speaks volumes about the character of the gentleman who owned The Rook. They wanted us to utilize this sponsorship to talk about their favorite nonprofit organizations to donate to. Number one is Steppin' with Stofir. You can reach them at Steppin' with Stofir on Instagram, and they are helping ease the financial burden of individuals going through cancer treatments. Number two is Sloan's Roses, at Sloan's Roses on Instagram. They're providing assistance to family members that have suffered or been affected by a child-related death, injury, loss, or tragedy. The other nonprofit organization is at Lisa's Army on Instagram, and they are comforting those battling cancer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Atomic Real Estate Show. I'm CJ Koch, your host, co-host, sitting in for Ryan Dolan today, again. And I'm here with Nick Cessna. Great guest today, Jeff Greco. Nick, do you want to set the stage for Jeff here?
Yeah. Jeff's from Legacy Companies, and we've known each other for probably, I would say, somewhere around 8 to 10 years, I would say it is. Haven't caught up with you recently, and we started doing business with hard money lending. And you helped me and my wife and my partner acquire a large amount of properties in North Philly, specifically Temple Medical area. And then I believe we did a bunch of flips together as well, where you funded them for hard money purposes. And that was when hard money was kind of really like a new concept in Philly, I think, and that was it was cool times back then. It was a lot of running and gunning. It was pretty cool, and you made it really easy for us.
Thank you.
So here we are now. Fast forward many years, and we've both progressed in business tremendously. What's going on? What's new?
No, things are good. Yeah, it has been a while since we caught up, and yeah, it's fun reminiscing here and all the different stuff we've done together. But no, things are good. So we're still doing some of the lending, but doing a few more things, mostly in the real estate space. So we have a boutique hotel, 13th of Locust, called Guild House Hotel, which just got a Michelin key. So one of 3 hotels in.
Congratulations.
Thank you, state of Pennsylvania. So we're pretty excited about that.
And that's comparable to like the Michelin star restaurant ratings, somewhat.
Yes, it's a new concept. So I'm not going to, Michelin stars I'm not a foodie, but Michelin stars in the restaurant world is like a pretty
big deal.
Yeah, yes. A big deal. I think they're trying to get it to that per se. But it's still, it's an impressive honor nonetheless.
You're a very modest guy, so I'm sure it's a bigger deal than what you're talking about.
No, it is a big deal. It was surprising. Like I knew we were up for it, all that stuff. But yeah, it is a big deal. I mean, I imagine people are excited to say all that. I mean, we certainly didn't do it for that, but the hotel's got a cool backstory, and we can, get into
It's a really cool backstory. I remember when you guys were first talking about it, and I was like, what do you want to do with like that? And then you're like social media and all that stuff, like you guys like put that out there. That's not you. You're not a social media guy in any way, shape, or form. You stay in
I
the
closed
background.
down my Facebook account a while ago.
Yeah,
but.
you stay in the background, but your partners, put that out there. And the Guild House, refresh my memory, it was a woman's only.
Yeah, so it was back in the late 1800s. You remember, it was a very different time. It was a training ground for training women to get into the workforce. So, now it's a completely different time, but they had this thing called, rooms that you could, rent for, a few cents, a nickel, whatever, where literally women would come into the city, get trained, hopefully, going into the workforce, where that was a time they really weren't supposed to be out without a man, all that stuff. And so each of the rooms in a hotel is named after a historically significant woman, from that time. And so each room has a cool backstory, the whole thing. When we first bought the building, or before we bought the building, we thought we were going to do a long-term Airbnb play. So we were going to put in like laundry, kitchen, all that stuff. And for right or wrong, we got convinced by our designer that, we needed to go higher end and so forth. And so we spent a good amount of money on the decorations and the brand and the whole thing. So it's been, it's been impressive. I don't know if operating a hotel is in my blood per se, because it's certainly a lot of moving parts. And, if you get it right, you don't want it to only be 12 rooms, but, it's a cool experience. It's great. People enjoy it, weddings, the whole thing. So,
so you guys doesn't do Airbnb. It's
we don't do Airbnb. So it's, typical. We're on the hotel sites or whatever. I mean, if someone wants to rent it for a week, they can.
Sure.
We also do rent the house. So like weddings, we have a common area. So people they'll rent out typically the whole hotel for,
a bridal party.
Exactly. So they may go get married somewhere else, especially during COVID. More, it was nice to keep everything contained or so forth. So the whole
bridal party can get their makeup done there and
exactly.
And stay there and everything.
Right.
That's
in the largest suite, right, is the bridal suite, the whole thing. It wasn't exactly perfect timing trying to open up a hotel late 2019, early 2020. But hey, you live and learn the whole
Probably
thing.
the worst time.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's been interesting. We've, gotten better each year. And so, look,
Is there
it's
a
a
chef
great location.
on site?
No, so we actually, called Invisible Service. We have hotel managers. We have like 1.5 managers. But no, there's no on site. There's no food. There's no drink. We do have, water, sparkling water, amenities, all that stuff. So you can bring food in or so forth. And there's restaurants near
Where is it located?
So it's at 1307 Locust. So 13th
Okay.
and Locust, catty corner to Bud and Maryland's or so forth. And,
Chicken and waffles.
Yeah,
Bud and Maryland's.
exactly.
Yeah.
So right off of Broad Street. So the location's amazing.
Sure.
So
a lot of different wedding venues right there.
yeah. So we'll see. And, sometimes we'll get some overflow from some of the other.
And that's what Danny does. Danny does a ton of wedding videography. That's his main bread and butter.
Nice.
So he knows every wedding venue. Like anytime people mention weddings, what venue did you get married at? He knows them all.
Yeah.
Chess Cafe.
Yeah, he's been there a million times. He's got his own little chair in there.
Yeah. No,
Director chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so that's cool. So we're doing. So we have the hotel. Then we have apartment building, 214 Vine Street, so 29-unit apartment building that we bought the land, built it, and
So it's a new construction.
New construction, and so it's been in service about a year now. So great area, keeps getting better, so that's good. And then our biggest business right now is our workforce housing business, Chivetta Property Group, where we're building workforce housing for the city of Philadelphia through Turn the Key program. So the program's super amazing. So we're building 1,200 to 1,400 foot new construction house, and the program is set up by the city called Turn the Key. They're providing up to like $75,000 of assistance.
Wow. That's
in a soft second. So basically, you can't earn over a certain amount, so you have to income qualify. But the Cheryl Parker, the mayor, calls it affordable luxury. So our average, getting into our home is less than $2,000 down and $1,200 a month. So
and who's the target buyer? Teachers, firemen,
city workers.
firewomen.
Yeah, so
city workers.
The ideal scenario is city workers. Also, really, if you think of all the development, gentrification, whatever word you want to use for the development of those areas, because we're in Point Breeze, Brewery Town, we're in a lot of the good areas in the city. That house is worth $500,000, without a deed restriction on it.
Sure.
And so as long as they stay for, 10 or 15 years, then they can resell it. But the target market is really for people in the neighborhood who are either getting priced out, but also it's for first-time home buyers. So we have a lot of people where not only is that their first home, but a lot of times it's the first home in their family's lineage that somebody bought. So it's an amazing program. There's there's problems with it. There's all that
Sure.
stuff, but all in all, the city did a great thing, and Philadelphia is really leading. We've gotten approached by Baltimore, Harrisburg, New Jersey. Like, who knows if it'll go there, but the Philadelphia Land Bank, PHDC, it's a really great program, and so we'll see how long it lasts.
Now, what are the deed restrictions? Like, they have to hold it for a certain amount of years, or they can only sell it to, if they have to sell in that time frame, they can only sell it to other qualified people like themselves, like with that first time home buyer thing and
right.
all
So
that.
The ideal scenario is it's for someone who wants to live in the home forever.
Sure.
The deed restriction
But
is
things happen.
Right. No, the deed restriction is so you can't sell it for a profit within 10 or call it 15 years.
Okay.
So technically, if there was an emergency and someone needed to get out and sell, they would need every homeowner has to get qualified by the land bank and the turn the key program. So as long as someone else qualifies, they can resell it to someone in that. But if they buy it for $280, they got to sell it for $280. If they waited 15 years, who knows what that house is worth in those areas, probably $500,000.
And the people buying it in from them, like say that person unfortunately loses their job, they can no longer afford it. The person buying it has to be qualified as well.
Yeah, that is in
Does
theory.
that restart
I don't think
the clock of the 15 years?
You're asking a lot of good questions. I don't actually even know if that's happened yet in the program, because the program's really a couple years old. Theoretically, that's the thing. Of course, there's all emergencies. People need to move on. There's
people
like,
die.
Yeah,
people
there's
lose
all
their
those
jobs,
things.
Yes.
So that's the theory, is that people will stay in those. But they're very adamant. Of course, you had people who try to take advantage of the system.
Sure.
They'll get an amazing house. They'll rent it out. Those people got kicked out of the program. They
Really?
well,
So
get
you're
out of
not-
here.
You're not allowed to rent it out either.
No, it's not for young. It's not for people to make a real estate investment flip. It's to transform the
Long-term.
neighborhood. Right. We built 60 houses in Brewerytown and Marston Street. I mean, completely build up the whole block, like build a neighborhood.
Sure.
And that's really what it's for. So
And it kind of forces people, well, not forces, but it incentivizes people to take care of their homes and take care of the neighborhood and really have some investment there. Because if they do take care of it for 15 years, that thing's going to be worth a lot of money.
Well,
and at that point, they can make a lot of money.
That's exactly right. And, we're, trying to do more and more in the community. So we organize neighborhood cleanups and so forth. And, we know the people who are in the home, so they're psyched to see us back. And so it really is a nice situation where, people are super grateful to have the house. And, they probably never thought they were going to.
It's probably also a rewarding thing for you guys, because anytime you go down there, people are probably legitimately happy to see you. Like, oh my God, like,
yeah,
here's Uncle Jeff who helped me out. You know?
Nothing's ever perfect. Let's hope I'm not the face of it. But I say that all of our new team members should be forced to be part of a closing transaction.
To see the appreciation.
You've seen mothers and daughters.
Probably emotional.
You've seen people get emotional. You've seen people, when literally the door to our office closed, you heard the shriek of excitement, like they got the keys to the house. On the one hand, it's business. On the one hand, it's about money. On the other hand, it's
rewarding.
Yes, it has. They just a couple weeks ago, the city put on the 100th buyer through the Turn the Key program. So the mayor, Parker, spoke, and a lot of the people spoke in the program. Brendan Tomasetti, from Chavetta, spoke. And so it was awesome to see not only the community, but how visually emotional, people got, and just, gratitude and
it's
all
a good
that
thing.
Stuff. It's a really cool thing. And, I think like any program, it get knocks, right? Because people say, well, that's not affordable. And, the mayor was very clear. This isn't affordable housing, right? Workforce housing is different than affordable housing. This is affordable luxury, as she would call it, for an average of, $1,000 to $1,200 a month. Certainly that's not $500 a month that you maybe would call affordable and, Section 8 or subsidized housing. But there's a big gap in between.
Sure.
There's grant monies involved and tax breaks, and I'm sure there's substantial tax breaks for the developers in these programs and everything. involved in that as well.
Yeah, the tax breaks are there, and also for the homeowners, as you mentioned, the grants, right? So sometimes there's some grants that you can stack on top of each other. So sometimes the city will have grants, sometimes banks will have grants. You know, a lot of the banks, local banks, are providing mortgages, whether it's PNC, WISFIS, ESSA, you name it. They also get credit for lending, and so it checks a lot of the boxes.
And then it's probably a streamlined process where you have all that stuff lined up for these people, and you're dealing with the same lender for it all. And
yeah, exactly. I think that the high level, one of the reasons that the program is so successful is, my understanding is, a lot of these, I'll call it government programs, it touches so many hands before it actually provides value. And this value is literally going from the government or city or so forth to the person receiving it, rather than it being cut 14 different times. So it's a pretty powerful program.
Now, how are you guys doing it from a construction standpoint? I would imagine that it's very itemized list money-wise, like this shit has to stay on budget, like we have to buy this product for this, and
not much optionality.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's got to be like kind of like very simple level 1 granite, LVP flooring, fiberglass tub surrounds, and so builder's grade, new construction, but very builder's grade items, carpet as opposed to hardwood floors.
So look, we're trying to do the biggest. We're limited when we win an RFP or get awarded land or buy land. We're the exit sale price is set. Right. Yes. So if it's $250,000, if it's $280,000, that price is set. So if your construction costs are $200,000, you're still selling it for $280,000. If your construction costs are $295,000, you're selling it for $280,000. So at the end of the day, even though it's an amazing program and people should want these houses, you are still selling something where people, need to live and feel good about all that stuff. So the good news, as we've gotten bigger, is that we're able to do some things with economies of scale. Okay. So when you're purchasing tens of millions of dollars worth of materials or labor or so forth, you can do certain things. Sure. We started our own general contracting business, Spruce Builders, not because I had some wild dreams as a teenage boy of owning a general contracting business, but if we were going to capitalize on this program and really deliver from a price and from an availability standpoint and from a speed perspective, we really needed to do that. So
we cut out the middleman, basically.
We control that. So we do that. We do only our own work right now. So we'll see what happens. But to your point, yes, we try to do our best thinking about our business as we're in the manufacturing business and we build boxes. They happen to be houses that people live in sites across the city of Philadelphia, but we try and do as much as we can at, standardization. So this isn't a Toll Brothers like, hey, pick which floor. We would get, one, we can't upsell that, and two, it just doesn't work from a process standpoint. But we are always looking at how do we improve things, right? So the open kitchen concept, the materials, the stainless, like you're just always looking at these things because we get feedback, and sometimes it's a little more expensive, but
the windows, the roof, behind the walls, the plumbing, the HVAC, all that stuff is going to be the same, whether it's going to be $1 million finish or it's going to be a $300,000 finish. What it really comes down to is the equipment that's used, and that stuff can be swapped out at a later date when those people, when they're past that 10 to 15 year mark, like they still have a strong structural boned building that is built correctly, and they can upgrade those finished products as needed if they want to, and really add substantial value on their own from that point forward. So there's no limitation for them building their own equity into the homes by upgrading a kitchen or upgrading the bathroom in 3 or 4 or 5, 10 years, and then they can now you're talking like they almost, you're creating real estate investors. Well, that real deal, like with an insane upside.
Yeah, and the math, 15 years, what they buy for 280, 250, is that double? It should be something significant. It's probably you also have to remember, these aren't nice houses in bad neighborhoods. These are nice houses in nice neighborhoods. The home next door that isn't part of this program is selling for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. It's a nice program.
It's really cool. I like it. I mean, I like that idea of it, and I don't really see any argument against
I
it.
wonder if there's any adverse effects from an appraisal standpoint, just out of curiosity.
If there's deed restrictions, there's going to be limitations on stuff, but
If you're having your
appraisal wise, it's going to go by what you can sell it for, and if there's a deed restriction, that has a determining factor on what the value is.
You would
But
think, right?
if
Yeah.
they're going to refinance, like say rates improve or something like that, I would imagine that if they upgraded something like that, has to come into effect. Like it is worth more. So like on a lending standpoint, like it's a no brainer lending to that.
Yeah, the look, the credit scores over 600, ideally 620, but banks have their programs, but they're trying. The banks also have a desire to lend to this market. One, because they feel good about it, but two, they get community credits or so forth. But they have their box. So yes, if rates go down, it's a little bit cheaper. So
they're not really making money on the lending aspect of it. It's probably the tax credit part and all that kind of stuff, like the government credit type stuff that they're getting for this kind of workforce.
Yeah, look, they're making money, and my understanding also is that not only they will get penalized if they don't
they're
hit
required
certain,
to lend.
exactly. So if they don't hit a
Yes.
certain whatever the size they need to do more,
Sure.
they need to do that.
Yeah.
So
It's a pretty cool concept. I mean,
yeah, Philadelphia was really cutting edge to my knowledge. I mean, there's something called the Neighborhood Preservation Initiative, which is $400 million that the city of Philadelphia basically allocated to this. Now, don't ask me where the funds originally come from. Did it come from HUD? Did it come from all that stuff? But not only is it workforce housing that I'm talking about now for sale, they also have a significant amount of money, tens of millions of dollars, that they're doing for people to stay in their homes. So meaning there's a program, the home improvement program, where, basic home repair, there's wheelchair lifts or so forth. But there's actually money where homeowners who want to stay in their home but don't have $15,000 to fix up the roof or whatever, there's money allocated for them to qualify to do this. So the city, nothing's perfect, but the city really has tried to think of a lot of different angles to this.
yeah, and I mean, looking at it from the outside in, I don't think it's something that like anybody can just pick up and I'm going to get into this, affordable workforce housing and stuff like you. I mean, you and your partners have a high level of experience in money management, in real estate investing, in your one partner with construction. You guys have high level experiences, and you're all equally very intelligent individuals and have your strong suits. So I don't think this is something that someone can just say, I'm going to get into this.
No, it's right. It's easy to talk about the program, in the comforts of a conference room, but there's a lot of moving parts. Okay,
Yes.
to build 50 homes at a time, 200 homes at a time. There's a lot of moving parts, from the money, from the execution, from the sales side. And by the way, we had bumps. We still have, bumps and bruises. That's the part of business is scaling. But to your point, it's a rewarding, and so yeah, it takes.
You guys are definitely process people, and you guys are always refining processes.
Yeah,
I also know that my buddy Jeff ain't doing nothing that he ain't making money on. So like I know that I know that like there's an upside to this, and it probably takes an extreme amount of work and back office stuff and a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
And but listen, I know you're making money.
No,
like you're making it profitable.
We're not a 501c3. But the other thing that we're doing is Mike Tomasetti, our partner, is really leading this up. Is that we are training minority developers to do this. Now, what scale will they get to? Who knows? But there's classes, there's trainings, there's all that stuff. So the hope is that not only are we doing this, but also that we can, create a class or a group of developers who this is new to them. Some succeed, some don't, but the roots are there for that to happen, and there's some promise there.
Opportunities all around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great thing. It's what's the downside? Is there pushback from neighbors?
Well, look, you're always going to get pushback in something. So we've gotten pushback that our homes aren't affordable. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's not for us to deter. We don't get to choose what we sell the houses for. We don't get to choose.
So it's a set,
right?
It's a set menu, and you have to adhere to this menu.
That's correct. So the politician Cheryl Parker, the mayor, who's really leading it now, but Darrell Clark, and there's been a lot of Kenyatta Johnson, city council. They're telling us what they want. So they're saying we want new construction homes, 250,000. They're saying that to us. By the way, if they told us they wanted apartment building with rents for $500 and they're going to subsidize it, we could probably figure out a way to make that work. But this isn't that program. Sure. So we get commentary that our stuff's not affordable, and the mayor is pretty specific. This is affordable luxury, not affordable because people. I don't know the demographics off the top of my head, but hey, true affordable is under $500 a month in rent or mortgage or so forth.
So
this isn't that.
People are confusing it with like a Section 8 government handout. It is not that. The people that are buying it, the home buyers, have to adhere to a lot of things, and which basically equates to them doing the correct things in life based on what society thinks is correct right now. You have a certain credit score, you have a job, you have this, you have that.
I'm not going to make a judgment of what's correct, good or bad, but to your point, this program is ideally targeted for working people who, can't make over, a certain amount at six figures. Mm-hmm. It's to keep people in the neighborhood. It's to have home ownership be available that never was before. So yes, it's not affordable, right? Which is a thing. Certainly you have neighbors who, for instance, thought that the side lot that they've been using as their garden is theirs.
Sure. It is not.
It's not owned by them or so forth. They're yelling at us, and
you didn't apply for eminent domain.
We don't determine where the land. So you always get that.
Now, are you getting pushback also from the people owning the $600,000 house next door? Like, oh, you're going to move in, undesirable people into my neighborhood, and I'm sure that's combated very easily once the project is done.
Yeah, we have. So that happens more on the front end of getting projects, approved at the community level, right? So does the neighborhood really want it? All that stuff, and having to work, all those forces together, because certainly, everyone has a voice. But we're not really getting it from the developers who are saying you're going to bring down our neighborhood or so forth. So
it's cool though. I saw you guys doing it, and I thought it was really cool. It's admirable, and I remember having a conversation with you before you guys were going to develop some housing, some higher end housing. And me and you had talking like, hey, we're going to get out of it. We're going to sell this. And like, what are you selling it for? And you're like, well, sometimes when there's other balls rolling that are doing better, you take your ball and put it into that game. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Look, I think that's one of the lessons over the last few years for me personally and in business. I think that I forget who said it but exactly, but just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should do anything. Something like that. And I think, look, real estate is a blessing and a curse, because technically if you could build a single family house, you could maybe build a Comcast tower or something in between. But at the end of the day, it's all real estate. It's this, it's subs, but if you look at, and I always say it matters on what level you want to get to, sure. Right? So if you want to make a certain amount of money and feed your family, that's all great. If you want to build a business of a certain size and scale, most of the companies who have done that, real estate, they've picked a niche, and once they've kind of gotten to be world class, they've gone that rather than trying to do everything at once, because, simultaneously trying to develop an apartment building, a hotel, a single family market rate, and it's not advisable, sure. as when you start to do it at
sure.
scale. And so, we feel like we're pretty good at the workforce housing thing. We just had the 100th Turn the Key event for the 100th Turn the Key buyer, and of the first 100 homes, Chivetta was responsible for building 68 of them.
Wow.
So we're a decent size of that.
I would say you're the local expert.
We're good in the local market, right?
So 68% of it built. Like you guys are the local expert.
We were early in that, and now the question is, right, and so what can we keep doing in Philadelphia to support the community? Do we go to other cities? Do we start to do other things in Philadelphia that are close?
When did the program start?
A couple of years ago, I think it was officially launched. We started selling workforce housing before Turn the Key was available. Turn the Key really ratcheted the program up. So before Turn the Key was available, people would have to bring, the standard amount down or so forth. But Turn the Key really
and there was not deed restrictions on it when it first started with the original workforces. I think
it was like 10 years or something. There still was a deed. I mean, they were still getting a new construction house we agreed, this is a few years ago, I think the lowest price point house we ever built was $185,000.
Oh, wow.
Now, we at that point, we were doing tranches, like we had some we were allowed to sell for $250, but we weren't making money on every house, I can assure you that.
This episode is brought to you by Downtown Mechanical. Downtown Mechanical is your one-stop shop for all of your HVAC needs, residential and light commercial. Downtown Mechanical specializes in installation of full units, swap outs, repair, service, rooftop units, mini split systems, heat pumps, whatever you need HVAC-wise. I personally use them on all of my properties. Matt Rispo is the owner. Great guy. I love working with them. They accept credit cards, free estimates, and they offer financing. You can get a hold of them at downtownmechanicalllc.com or by phone 215-617-3768.
One of the reasons that we were a large percent of the 100 homes in Turn the Key program is that we made a strategic decision we weren't going to stop. Meaning, when prices of lumber skyrocketed in the middle of COVID, we looked at each other and an ownership group and said, do we want to hold or do we want to keep going? Now, when you make an agreement with the city, you're not only agreeing to deliver a product at a certain price point, you're also agreeing to have a shovel in the ground in 30 days. You're also agreeing to deliver it within a year. So we looked at each other and we said, we don't know how long COVID's going to last. We don't know this. But the one thing that we can change is our reputation. Sure. And so we said, worst comes to worst, we're willing to lose some money. This program, if we think the program has legs and all in all, people know that we did the right thing no matter what, and we said we're gonna do it, and we lost some money.
Sure.
And so that happens sometimes. You take some swings, but there were also people who closed on land. Some other developers closed on land the same time we did. By the time we were finished, they didn't start. And I can assure you, the next time we went for land, we looked a lot better.
Well, I'm also quite certain that because the fact that you and your partners do have other business ventures in where they're profitable that weren't so much controlled by the COVID as much, the COVID shutdowns and all that stuff as much, those losses were also turned into somewhat of an accounting and tax benefit where sometimes that's needed. And I'm not saying you're some huge conglomerate where like you're doing this thing just for a loss to manufacture losses, because it's clear and apparent you're not doing it for that. You're doing it for the right reasons. And I listen, I know you do well in business, but I know you don't do that fucking well in business.
It's part of the game. Look, it wasn't the first thing we did in business. It wasn't the first thing we did together. So certainly out of the gate that would have been tough. But
so like the people that are fast forward now, the people that you're mentoring it. And if they would have taken a loss on that, it would have crippled them.
Yeah.
But you guys were set up and established, so you guys were able to look at each other and say, you know what, we're going to take a little bit of a loss here, but we can manufacture that and move forward with it.
And for right or wrong, look, as people, the people that we're mentoring in the program getting started, we may have had exposure on 20 or 30 homes, so to speak. So hopefully, as you're starting out, you don't have that type of exposure on that many homes to start. So
it sounds like you were asking the right question too. Like, does this thing have legs? Like you're just asking good questions. That's commendable.
Yeah. No, we weren't. Here's I think what we said to ourselves. We weren't sure how big the workforce housing, I'll call it, program could be in the city of Philadelphia,
or the need for it.
or the need or the funding or the city support or could we do it at scale? Could all of those things.
The city support is probably the biggest worry you guys had.
Well, yes, and it could change. By the way, if we get awarded this amount of lots this year, and then next year we don't, but we've scaled up a team of 30 people, now what? So but we said if it works, we want to be ready.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, we'll go on to the next thing. Yeah. We'll give it our best shot. But that's even going to asymmetric risk or whatever. But at the end of the day, from an investor business perspective, things are never going to go as planned. But if they work or if they're close to what you think, you want the runway to be big.
I like it.
Yeah.
But you're also not dealing with time on the market or anything like that, like dealing with buyers and negotiations and different agents and all that stuff. It's a very, very controlled environment, right? Where I would imagine you have like one agent who's just extremely specialized in this, where you guys probably set that agent up with, hey, go get educated on everything possible on this. You have the bank lender, and then those buyers come, they're already through, they're vetted, they're processed, and boom, as soon as it's done, the key is kind of handed over and set up. So there's no downtime on lending and all that stuff, I would imagine.
So that's a perfect scenario. It doesn't happen all the time. There's pluses and minuses. Okay. So yes, if you're talking about market rate, can you sell the house for 600? Could it be 500? The market rates go up. It's 449. We said, if we can't sell a new construction house for 250 or 280,000,
there's bigger problems.
Something's probably way off. So we don't have that, but we also do have in a traditional market rate environment, you just have a lender if they're getting a mortgage and the developer. We have an approval process that we don't fully control. So yes, we could technically pre-approve someone by asking them questions. Do you make this much? Do you credit? But they need to go through housing counseling. They need to go through all that stuff. So
there's probably classes that they have to do.
Oh yeah,
there's
classes,
things that they
videos.
have to...
There's counseling sets. So my point is, I'm not saying it's not workable, but there's pluses and minuses.
I'm sure there's somebody in your team that's coaching them through what they have to do and all that stuff to make things easier for the process for you. Now, how's it work? Do they get a home inspection, or do you guys pay for a home inspection to happen and it's just like, here's the home inspection from a third party home? Like, it's not a traditional sale that I'm used to.
It's a traditional sale from the span. You also have to think about there's mortgage companies involved. So before WISVIS lends money, they need certain things. So they need to make sure there's a home inspection. They need to make sure there's an appraisal. They need, so it's traditional. I say it's traditional, but there's an extra layer of this city land bank approval process.
Sure.
So,
but if there's 68 of them, I'm sure by the 20th one, you have streamlined. All right, hey, inspections, these things are popping up, and you're just going through, and your construction manager and project manager is going through and just check every possible thing that could ever come up. Boom, 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 boom. Let's streamline this shit.
I'd like to tell you we've never had a warranty issue. I'd like to tell you we've never got an issue about a screen missing, or that stuff happens.
Products always fail.
But yes, we are getting better at that all the time. Our team is getting better with reps. The situations, how we deal with people, like all that stuff is getting better. But yes, it's been
it's an iterative
interesting
process.
Job.
That's all. Yeah, it is.
like anything. But yeah,
it's a totally different aspect of regular real estate investing and building and construction. Everything. It's a unique product. It's a really cool program, and it's just unique.
Yeah, it's more. To right or wrong, I think about it. Look, we are in the real estate developing building business. It's really an operating business. So, we don't own a manufacturing facility where we're, making cameras or whatever. But at the end of the day, the same things apply. You have supply, you have sales, you have operations, you have finance, you have all those pieces.
And there's a lot of land, right? Isn't that what Brian was saying? That the city of Philadelphia owns more land than any other municipality in the country?
And there's a lot of land that's like nothing's being done with, and
no shortage.
It does become certain areas do become unaffordable to do stuff just because of the the material cost and all that stuff. And I guess this is a great way to get a lot of that land out there, right?
Yeah.
Well, that, and you talk about the benefit to the city. Even though there's a tax abatement, they start to get property tax revenue now
Sure.
that there's houses built on that.
Yeah.
So
Plus, it's the other revenue that a lot of people don't talk about is now you have a person working with a job, owning a new house, and they're working in the city of Philadelphia paying city wage tax.
Yeah.
So there's that city
getting
wage tax
food down
is
there,
going up.
sending the kids
Correct.
to school. There's a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
So like people always want to argue about this, tax abatement shit, and they miss me with this argument because it's like you're not seeing the other benefits that the city's getting from this. It's a partial 5 to 10 year tax abatement stuff, and once that kicks back in, those taxes go up, and people don't look at the bigger picture. They're looking at the very what's in front of their face, and it's. But like Brian
I'm not
said,
going to
it's
get
an
into
educational
political,
thing.
discussion, but there's a lot of education institutions who don't pay property tax anyhow. But,
Yes.
but hey,
Yes, yeah, big time, man. That's a whole other fucking topic.
another
and
show.
rant we can go on. So, how is the construction thing working? Because we used to always laugh that we were always going to make a calendar to give to your wife with you like coming onto our job sites and putting our tool belts on and hard hats on, because Jeff is not Jeff has never worn a tool belt in his life.
but by the way,
Yeah.
do I not have a blue collar on today?
Yeah,
Do I not have a blue collar on today?
funny.
No, Nick is right. My unique ability, core competency isn't that. My daughter, my children, and my wife are very well aware that I'm not fixing a lot of things in our house.
Sure.
So as a side, the toilet paper roll fell off our house, and we have a handyman Steve come to our house every so often, do stuff that probably most men know how to do, but like that's just not me. I stay in my lane. Toilet paper roll falls off. My daughter says, "We need to call Steve." I said, "Sweetheart, I got this one." So, but yes, no. So look, that's the benefit of having partners. Okay, so yes, we have Mike Thomas said he had a construction business in the past. Doug, has an intersection between construction and finance. I have a little bit of finance and whatever else I do, but yes, it's I would never be in the business alone, and frankly, it's no secret. I mean, I love going to the job sites, but I'm not the guy to tell you what's off or not. I'll say hello, bullshit to people like that. That's not my thing. But my wife also tells me I'm not good at a lot of things too. But that's good. So
That comes with signing the marriage certificate, and they're allowed to tell you that,
Sweetheart, if you're listening, working together is an absolute blessing.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah. I tell people all the time, and so does Jen, my wife. She tells people all the time when they talk about getting into business with one another, and she's like, really make sure it's what you want to do, because I don't recommend it. I mean, we've been in it so long now that it we've gone through all the ups and the downs, and any problem that comes our way now, it's like shit that seemed monumental 5-10 years ago, now it's like it's just water off a duck's ass. Like, it doesn't bother her anymore. It doesn't bother me. It's just like, cool. So once you have that time in, it's cool.
I completely agree. I'm gonna steal the water off a duck's ass. I like that one. Jamie and I started working together like right before COVID, and it took us a while to get our legs under us in terms of like what our swim lanes were. Like, I always knew she was immensely talented and we could do some great things together, but like what she should handle, what I should stay out of, all that stuff. Turning it off when you go home, because I think about it a lot. So like, she doesn't want to talk about business all the time, which is probably good. So it's like learning all those things, but I did know that like no one's going to care as much, right? And so, skill sets and so forth. So it's been amazing and super frustrating sometimes too.
Yeah, that was a big problem for me, was never turning it off.
Yeah.
Right. Especially when we were doing so much at one time. I've scaled back since having more children and purposely to spend more time with my family and focus more time on health to be able to have time to spend with them. But that was a hard thing for me. Like when you're going hard and you make the decision like, I'm going to build this business, I'm going to build this up, I'm going to build this up, I'm going to build this up, and go. It's hard for me to turn it off, right? And coming home, and Jen would be like, dude, shut the fuck up, I don't want to fucking hear about it anymore. And you know my wife, and that's how she
My
talks.
wife said the same thing.
That's how she talks. She'd be like, if you talk about a job site one more fucking time, you can eat dinner outside. Like I don't want to hear from you about this shit. And then the other thing that was hard for her, which is it's ultimately my fault, would be that, you know, we would have interactions during the workday, and I may have spoken to her like I would speak to anybody on a job site, right? And she'd be like, I'm not a fucking carpenter. Don't fucking talk to me that way, right? I'm your fucking wife. And I'm like, no. You're my fucking business partner right now. You're my wife at 5 p.m. You made it clear that from 9 to 5, we're working, and after 5. So, like, then she would take that home. Yeah. But that's a whole male woman thing. And I'd be like normal, like sitting there at the dinner table, and she's looking at me like, what are you mad for? She's like, what the fuck you mean? What am I mad for? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, fuck, we work together. This sucks. You know what I mean? Like, so that was the constant battle. But now it's like, now it's been, you know, years in, but I could see that really breaking marriages.
Yeah, and the kid, so working together is one thing, and then kids on top of it. When we started with, you know, when my daughter was 6 months, you know, and, you know, not talking about in front of the kids. So building a business, being a father, like, that has been like an interesting thing, and I've probably, you know, failed more, but it is, you know, it's just, I guess a path to go through, but yeah, it's weird because I feel like, or like my definition of like a real man or whatever is like, you know, to support the family and like no matter what happens, like, you know, financially, whatever, like I got this. So like I almost feel like entitled to like, oh, I can be focused on business, which, you know, doesn't fucking work. But
yeah,
I like it's been super interesting, like kind of having it play out. Because on the one hand, like I certainly want my kids, I want to be there for my kids as a father, but I also want them to realize like mom and dad like bust their ass, and they work hard, and like, look, they're 3 and 5, so they have a long time. But like, they'll figure out what to, but I do want them to see that like what we have in life is a direct result of like
the work.
This is what it takes. And so, look, I don't know what that is. I've been like interested with this concept of like not having entitled kids. I'm not saying my kids are entitled or not, but it's like something I think about a lot. And so I am like conscious of it. I know.
Oh, it's a battle, dude. Like my 14-year-old, he texted Jen the other day, like sent her a picture of a baseball bat, like, Mom, I want this baseball bat, right? So she's like, she says to me, she's like, this fucking kid wants a $500 fucking baseball bat. Now, a $500 baseball bat's not setting me back, you know, hard. But I said to him last night, he was sitting at the dinner table, and she was talking about something else. I said, hold on, I want to interrupt 1 second, because he mentioned something. Hold on 1 second. As I was walking past, hold on. Guys, keep your thought, but by the way, that baseball bat, you ain't fucking getting it. And he was like, what? Okay. And I said, you want to know why? He said, yeah. I said, because you're fucking English grade. You have a fucking English grade. I said, you ain't me, motherfucker. All right. You can't go into school and fuck around and all that stuff. Like, you're smart. You're not like me. Like, grades are easy for you. Like, get your shit up. And he's like, I'm only like 3 points away. I said, 3 points away from what? He's like, a passing grade. I said, that ain't good enough, motherfucker. And he was like, all right. I said, dude, you need to be better than me. You need to be 1,000 times fucking better than me. You're smarter than me, so be better. And he was like, I got you. Like, so it's like, I'm not giving you, I'm not going to hand you a bat, a $500 bat. Now, the kid's a phenomenal baseball player. And, you know, would the bat help him? Yeah, sure. But, you know, swing your buddy's bat until you get your grades up. You know what I mean? Because you got to do your job. Me and Mommy are doing our job. You know what I mean? That doesn't just me. And she was like, Jen was like, I'm glad you said that to him, because I was just going to like, I felt like bad, like I was just gonna like buy him the bat, and I'm like, no, he's not doing his part. Like, he ain't doing his part. So she was like, you're right. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's that battle. Like, you want to give them everything, but you don't want to, like,
Cut their legs out from under
yeah,
them.
you don't want to, like, just like hand them everything and like,
Right. Which is an interesting balance, though. You know, again, my kids are young, but it's like on the one hand, you know, you work hard, you want to be able to provide for the family, but like at the end of the day, I think the goal of parenthood is like to produce, you know, contributing members of society, whatever that exactly means. But my point is like on the one hand, you want to be able to, you know, give them stuff or let them experience stuff, but like to your point, like I think, well, for me, like a lot of my work ethic, I think, was from examples I saw that I didn't want to be or wanted to create my own life or things like that. And so, hope I don't screw him up.
yeah. And it's funny because he's going to the high school that I went to, right? And there's some teachers that are there that taught me, right? And I'm like, dude, and Jen said to him, like, you may not want to mention that, like, you know,
You know this guy.
yeah, you may not want to mention this because I was a menace, right? And I feel bad. I honestly feel bad about that now. Like, my parents, you know, worked and spent money for me to have an education. Sent me to a Catholic school for high school, and I took it for granted, and I fucked off, and I was a little jerk off. And in fact, I had a conversation recently with the president of the school, and I said, you know, he had asked me to come in and talk about with two other my buddies about finances to kids, and I said, you don't want me talking to your smart kids. Like, you need to put me in front of the kids who are a problem, who are detention, who are bored, who don't want to be there, kids who want to go work, who want to be in the unions, who want to go to the military. I'm like, you put me in front of those kids, I walk in front of them. It's not some guy in a suit coming in talking to them. I said, they're going to see me and they're going to relate because I'm them and they're me. And I'm going to be able to have a conversation with those kids and tell them. Like, and I genuinely I don't have many regrets in life, but I genuinely regret how I took that process for granted and acted like a jerk off.
Yeah. But so, you know, your judgment or opinion of how you were as a kid, but at some point something clicked or what, like, cause you're not that way now.
No.
So what was it, some specific thing, or you said something to yourself, or what was the...
I think it was, you know, it was going to the military at 17. You know, I didn't finish senior year. I went and got my GED. I was just so bored with school and didn't want to be there. And I just thought, like, being funny in school. And I was good at tests, and I just never did homework. I was just like, fuck this. What am I going to do this for? I'm going to go work with my hands anyway. Like, what do I need this for? I just thought it was a waste of fucking time. And I think at that point, my parents were just like, just beat down and broken. I was the last one, you know what I mean? I'm the youngest, and like my brothers broke them like wild horses. So, you know, I just think it was, they were just like, oh, Jesus Christ. I went to the military, and at that point I realized, okay, like, it made me a man. And then you progress in age and maturity, and then you start to look back at stuff and you're like, man, I act like a fucking dickhead. Yeah. Like, what did that get me? Got me some laughs. Got me this, got me that. It's stupid, you know. And it's like, how do you teach that to kids? And like, I try to tell my son that now. Like, dude, like, don't be like me. Like, that shit's stupid, man. Like, getting everyone to laugh, but you're pissing that teacher off. And like I said, I feel bad. Like, I probably took years off of that disciplinarian's life. Who, God rest his soul, he's dead now. But I took some fucking years off of that man's life, without a doubt. Yeah. I don't feel. I'm not proud of that shit. I don't think it's fucking funny. I think it's stupid, and I wish I played it a little bit differently. Yeah. No, but at the same point, the things that happen in life bring you to where you are right now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it makes you where you know, all we can, you know, hope as like men is that we can be a better man than our father was, be a better parent than our father was, be a better man than the men that you see growing up. Yeah. And if we can do that, and you can become, you know, 5, 10, 15, 50% better than the men before you, and then the ones that you're raising become better than you, that's the
that's a win. Yeah.
I tell Jamie it's a gift for our kids to grow up in the same house as me.
Wait, is that the house that you grew up in? You bought?
No. I'm saying. I was fucking around saying it's a gift for our kids to sit front row at, you know, the life that we have.
Oh, absolutely. No. It 100% is, because, and then they don't appreciate it. Like, you catch yourself thinking like, these motherfuckers don't know how good they got it, right? You know, like, they don't know how good they got it, and you'll see. you'll see once they start getting a little bit older and
Yeah.
they start, forming opinions and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And you're like, you little bastard.
Yeah.
Or when they start hitting you with jokes and you're like, you motherfucker. Because you're laughing. You're like, that was a good joke, but fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see when they start busting your balls back. You're like, you little bastard. Like, that's what Jen says now. She's like, Jesus Christ, this dude's around you too much. She's like, he's saying stuff. She's like, I find myself laughing, but at the same time, I got to parent him.
My kids assume I'm joking until they like double check with me that I'm not.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, your wife's a pretty funny lady. Like, I never really liked going to, like, holiday parties and all that stuff. I used to like going to your guys' stuff because I get to spend time with your wife and watch her work the room and just make everybody laugh. It was like, she was like the perfect, like, hostess, like, going around talking to everybody, and she's hard not to like.
She's a phenomenal hostess. She knows how to plan a party, and she's like, yes, definitely enjoys being around people, all that stuff. I'm like, I love people, but also like need my space. But she could do all that. So
she's like a contagious smile too.
Yeah.
Like you see your wife smile and you instantly smile because she's just that type of like personality.
Smart, beautiful, talented.
And it goes.
You're doing really well.
It goes to the question: what the fuck is she doing with you?
She's good taste.
So how about the lending part of things? Are you putting money out in the street right now?
We put some money on the street. We've done with reoccurring clients.
Yeah.
COVID, like when COVID happened, I think we like fundamentally shifted. There's a couple things. One, a lot of money came into the space. Doug and I, when we got into the lending space, we didn't have this big dream of like building a big lending business.
Sure.
It started with us having some money. We had a friend who wanted to borrow some. We're like, this makes sense. And so it kind of did that. So when COVID happened, like, we didn't know what was going to happen. We weren't scared about the real estate prices, but like we got our business, or the way we built our business was really connecting with people, right? We were never the cheapest. We thought we added value, like all that stuff. A lot of money came into space, price became cheaper. And like, for us, it was like a shock from like, we would have had to change everything. Like, we could have just put money on the street, but like meeting new people, we were like, we don't know these people. Like, It just became very weird to us. So
then some people defaulted on stuff. You had to take projects back.
Yeah, that stuff happens.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, we were lending at 60% LTV, in our back market. Like, there were issues, but you'd have to screw things up pretty royally.
Yeah, sure.
With that. So, but look, I still love the lending business. I feel like, most things are cyclical. I feel like people or businesses were lending at rates or lending to people that we didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean we won't ramp up again or so forth. So
the thing about the lending when I started with you guys, was there cheaper options? Yes. And you were not secretive about that. You right away, you can get money cheaper somewhere else. But I quickly realized, me and Matt and Jen realized that the education that you guys helped us with through each deal, even deal analysis and how to break things down, where we would come in with like, here we go, and you guys would, the education that we got from the knowledge from you and Doug was, I feel like I got at a cheap rate.
Yeah.
For the extra money that I spent from what I could have got from somebody else. I got educated. I got educated from people who had PhDs when I just had a GED in the business, and that was a cheap education to pay for.
We should have recorded a YouTube ad or something with
Yeah,
this.
right.
No, you're right, Nick. Like, at the end of the day, we love the business because it was called legacy because our our clients for the most part, they were good. Like, they didn't need us. Like, they there were other, but like, could we help them build the next generation or something like that, right? Create a legacy. But for us, that's the part that we loved. We loved being in, writing up on the whiteboard and going through deals and helping do that, because our clients were way better at construction than when we ever were. we may have understood finance more. We may have understood deal analysis. Like we may have understood structure. We may have understood business operations. Like there were things that, it was a partnership technique, but like, so there were like a lot of cool parts of that. And, you guys built a really nice portfolio and it was great. So
the thing that was good too for me was the learning that I got from you guys was I was just a tool belt wearing fucking asshole, right? And in the business world where like something would happen, like title company, somebody wouldn't do their job, right? Like something like that. I'd want to be like, I'm going to their office and I'm fucking, and Jeff would be like, hold on a second. He'd be like, and you taught basically me how to like be aggressive professionally with people over email and this and that, and how to pick up the phone differently. You don't always have to, hey motherfucker, you could get it aggressively in a different way, and you got answers. And I'd be like, oh shit, I don't have to just like curse everybody the fuck out.
You may have been able to teach me how to move in the streets. I was trying to teach you how to move in the back office.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
I remember us having conversations about, when we were doing the most business together, times were really good, and it was not hard to lose money, but it was easier to make money.
Yeah.
And I said to you, things are going to change. You don't know when. So like, you got to be ready. And so, yeah, you took all that stuff. And so I think it was great.
Yeah. I mean, you guys taught us a lot about taxes and, what to do with our money and how to structure things differently, and utilizing the benefits of LLCs and the protections of those type of things, and just business. And we got a crash course, PhD level fucking education on all things real estate investing, because you guys weren't just money lenders. You guys were real estate investors that were just lending money, and you helped us grow tremendously. You helped Jen, my wife, who was doing all the back office stuff. You worked with her more than you worked with me, teaching her how to do everything, set her
How to
up,
streamline everything.
Oh yeah, like big time, and
Nice.
created a monster out of her. Like, and then now like she's like on point with every paperwork, like all the time. Like, I mean, and you guys helped create that. I mean, she's a smart woman.
Yeah.
She's a very intelligent woman, but you guys really took her to the next level, and like I can't thank you enough.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Look, we tried to do that with everyone. Some people listen, some people don't, but you guys were hungry, asking the right questions and doing it and coming. And so, yeah, it was Doug and I's pleasure to do it, and it was great. And that's, I think that the definition of business, you make some money together, you bring value to people, and whether we do business together forever or it's a season or whatever, that hopefully you're better off than, when we started. And, I think we say that's true.
I remember being at the one holiday party, and there's those two glass plaques right over there with all those little, black metal slide things on them. And we're there, like we're having a good time. I'm talking to like two of my buddies. One guy's a Marine, and we're talking about crazy stories, and Matt's cracking up laughing at me and him telling these crazy stories and shit. And then you guys are handing out awards and up there talking, and we're not even like really paying attention, right? Like we're just like we had already hugged your wife and talked to your wife and had a great time there. So we're like over at the bar, just like it's like a few like grunts and like tool belt wearing guys, and like there's all these business people there, right? Like sitting down, and we're over at the bar like taking shots and like fucking joking around, and then like
smashing cans on your forehead.
Yeah, right, like just being fucking Neanderthals. And my buddy's like, yo, you guys are getting an award. And we're like, no, we're not. Right. And then the music like stopped, and I'm like, what? And like everyone's looking at us, so like, and Matt's like, oh fuck. He's like, all right, let's walk up here and get an award. And like it's like the last award, and Jeff's like, he's like, these guys that did, I don't know, it was like 26 deals in a year or something. It's like some crazy fucking number, right? Whatever it was some outrageous number. And people are like, what? And they're all in suits and stuff. And I am literally in like Carhartt pants with fucking sawdust on them, dirty boots. Matt's got mud on his fucking boots, right? And these people are like looking at us, and they're like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, it was just funny seeing that. And then like they saved this award for us at the end, and like we're just like, oh shit, like all right. It was just like funny to see like these people like in the room that like didn't give us the time. Like some people didn't want to give us time of day, and then after that point forward, people were just like coming up to us and talking to us, and like, well, how do you guys do it? And it's not, and it was just funny from that point forward.
Yeah.
Like you could tell people were just looking at us like, oh, they're just their general contractors.
Imagine that.
They're just the hammer swinging guys that they know that are just here for free food. Meanwhile, we did like the most business, so it was kind of funny to see that reaction.
No, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. We had a couple of good holiday parties.
I think that one was at it was down there like on Spring Garden or something.
Yards?
Yeah, I think it was at Yards. I don't know. There was
Upstairs at Yards?
They may all be blended together. I don't know. But yeah, there was some good stuff.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun times together. It was cool, man.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So what's next?
Whew. Well, I'd like to see how far the workforce housing could go. We're starting to dip our toe into building out Spruce Builders, our general contracting business. So we're not...
What's the sweet spot for Spruce?
In terms of the projects we want to do or what?
Your clients, like building that out.
Well, we're thinking right now we only want to work with government entities.
Okay.
So we're looking at bidding on projects for the idea is to stay state and local first. You know, who knows how far it'll go. If we like the business, we'll keep going federal or something. But the idea is to not look. Would we do workforce or affordable housing for other private developers? Maybe, but you know, the idea right now is to do work for government.
Is
entities.
it union or non-union or hybrid?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Depends on the project.
Sure.
There's a lot of big money contracts with government stuff.
Yeah.
Big money stuff.
Yeah. There's so look, we're just getting into it. Like, look, at the end of the spectrum to be a large prime general contractor for the federal government is big business.
Sure.
If we sit here 10 years from now, I don't know if we'll do that. I don't know if we'll want to do that or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know if we'll want to do local stuff. I don't know if we'll want to put roofs on schools. I don't know. But the workforce housing business has enabled us to build relationships with the city of Philadelphia and do good and, you know, build a reputation. And so how do we continue to foster that?
Yeah, sure.
So to answer your question, that's what's next.
There's a lot of opportunities with the federal government contracts. My dad was doing them in the 90s, and my one brother would travel around with them. He'd go all over the country, and they were doing, that's back when there was still a lot of high-rise government-owned housing all over the place. And my dad would go in and do a lot of the window and door replacement stuff, and he'd have to go there, set up, hire subcontractors, do all that stuff, and do the replacements. And they're all like, there was a lot of cookie cutter stuff. It was a lot of general size windows and shit like that. Yeah. And he used to drive around in this like conversion van thing that you'd stop at hotels or he'd sleep in there, and then he'd go to Detroit and go here, go there, and he made out pretty well doing that shit.
Yeah, I think look, the U.S. government is the largest buyer of. I mean, it's big. It's big. It's huge, right? So, you talk about real estate specifically, right? So what does that mean? On the one hand, you have building maintenance. On the other hand, you have building of bases. There's so many things. Honestly, I'm just starting to
scratch the surface.
I'm just starting to learn more about it in terms of what we want to do. Because the one thing I've learned, in the workforce housing just in general, is that whatever we do next, we'll hopefully make some money at. We're going to learn some lessons, but we really got to make sure that our reputation at the end of those projects is better than it was at the start, or we're not going to get ramped up in that game, because we're not just looking for another sucker to fool. We got to build a business where this government agency refers us to this and we do good work. So we want to do it the right way. And
it's not like the 80s and 90s when my dad was doing it, where you just paid people off and that's how you got the stuff. Those days are long gone.
No,
man.
it's right. It's fully above.
They're gone. Maybe not long gone.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, they're still around.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn, and one of the things is it's a blessing and a curse that it's a pain to do it, right? To fill out, to become qualified, to do this, to check this box, to submit this application, to meet all the requirements. For our workforce housing, one of the biggest things we get judged on is the percent of, minority and women-owned subcontractors we use. So, what is our scorecard metric, and how do we? Yeah. So, but that's what we're looking to do next.
Now, what's a big failure that you had in real estate that taught you a great lesson? Everybody wants to always talk about the wins and the highlight reels. Like, what's a failure that you can think of that was, like monumental at the time, but now it's like, man, I really learned a lot from it.
Well, I feel like we're always getting those lessons, but I think the biggest one specifically is real estate. I mean, look, new construction can be sexy, but it can also be, everything looks good on an Excel sheet. Yeah. So, we've gone significantly over budget.
So have I.
On
Me too.
On some meaningful projects. Yeah. And so, not able to refinance all the money out. What do you do? All that stuff. I'm trying to think about like the best lesson or the biggest failure or so forth. Well, look, I think we touched on it earlier. Like, I think we tried to do a lot of things at once, and wasn't good. So
instead of sticking to what you're good at and refining that process and almost having it like automated before you step into a new playing field.
Yeah, as entrepreneurs, or me specifically, like we're optimists, right?
Yes.
If anyone told us what it was going to take, how long, how hard, how much frustration ever, we would never do it. Okay, but in our heads, we're like, this is going to be a little bit of effort. We're going to crush it. We're going to love our life, right?
We fool ourselves and downplay everything. This is going to be easy.
Dana White has this thing where he used to say, like, people are like, oh, I want to be my own boss. I'll get off Christmas and this and whatever. And Dana White's like, what the fuck? For the first whatever years, you ain't taking those days off. Uh-huh. So, but we tried to do a lot of different things, and it was a mistake because, on the one hand, you think you're invincible, but you think you can. So I really think, focus. When I say, literally, we were doing market rate for sale, hotels, apartment buildings, workforce. And we literally were like, it took something, because we were like, we're just doing workforce housing now.
Being and CJ have done those things kind of separately, and we're starting to do too much, and both individually at different times decided to take a step back and say, what, I'm gonna reel it back. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm gonna do. And we've had conversations about that where you do too much, you spread yourself too thin, because we do lie to ourselves as entrepreneurs, and we do try to make things seem like easy. Like, oh yeah, it's easy. It's just real estate. Like it's just this.
I'll give you the I think probably the biggest lesson, I feel like I've learned this over and over, or maybe it's the universe telling me I should learn it, is I think I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I like overstep either my gut or maybe my wife or someone would have had a better opinion or whatever, but I see like I assume like everyone's going to act.
Oh yeah, you see the good in people. You assume everyone's going to be well intentioned.
Yes. Yeah. And I've gotten fucked.
Yeah. That's a reflection of yourself, because you're well intentioned. You think everyone else is, and
it's an optimist. So on the one hand, like I can see where something can be, but I've learned in a big way my limitation. And by the way, Jamie's better at this. Doug. He's level-headed, so he can see. I'm like optimist. I'm like this and this person, this, we'll do this, boom. But I step over, like, I can get a deal done. Is it the deal we should be doing? So, like, I think, and I've had some people close to me that it didn't go well.
Just because it's a deal don't mean it's a deal for you, right?
Right. And so, like, the lesson is something, talk about staying in the lane, but I think it's something, just because you can do it, should you do it? But there's something in, I'm going to say like people, but it's like oversimplification, but it's really like, not like using your filters of how you see life, but like you gotta somehow, and I don't know like the trick yet, but you gotta somehow get, I'm not saying you use a private investigator on people, but you gotta somehow get like a true unbiased assessment of who people are. And by the way, not what I want to see them. Yeah. I can tell you when they acted appropriately. I can tell you when they've done things. But when no one's looking, or when shit hits the fan, or like who they really are, that's the stuff that, like, you know, I'm talking about partnerships, I'm talking about subcontractors, I'm talking about I'm talking about like everything.
It's all good when things are going good, but when
it's all good, and it's almost like,
people
again,
fool you.
My optimist view, I'm like, yeah, but that'll never happen. It's gonna fucking happen.
Yeah.
And like, who do you want to be in the trenches with, and all that stuff, and you start to like literally just peel just about everyone out, and you're like, so, you know, I had this idea, I'd be partners with this person and that person, and I was just, what the fuck? Like, I don't need like a ton of people in the inner circle. I need a few people that you ride or die with that, like, you know, like, no matter what, that's how it is. You may not always agree, but so like my biggest lesson is understanding my optimistic, rosy. A lot of times that's very valuable to a team, because I can tell you where we're going to be in 3 years, or should be, and this have boop, boop, boop. But you got to pair that with the people on your team, or someone who gives you the other side, you know, the strength and weakness, whatever that is. And that's been a painful lesson.
Now, what is something that you do to be able to keep you going in business? What is in family life, and being a husband, being a father, being an entrepreneur? What is something you do physically, and what is something you do like mentally? Is there any kind of regimen that you do that keeps you on point?
So physically, I've really dialed up my nutrition and my exercise plan. I really dialed that up in the last 6 months or so. So
how old are you now?
I'll be 44 in November.
Okay.
So, you know, I lift. Well, I don't even give my routine, but so I'm, you know, I lift, I do Peloton a few days a week. But I'd say the biggest thing is I started to walk like an hour a day, 7 days a week, because I realized, like it or not, I sit at a desk. Okay, I get a standing desk, whatever. But like, I'm not walking 10,000 or whatever the steps are. So I'd say the biggest thing that actually includes mentally, whatever, if I get outside, I don't care what time of year it is, walking an hour a day has been tremendously valuable.
Yeah.
Are you not taking business calls at that time, and
I'm taking business calls. Like, so on Wednesday morning I do it very early typically, so I'm not on it, but I'm either on when I'm walking, I'm either on a call, checking emails, or sometimes it's been stressful and I'll listen to take my fucking mind off of shit music. And I try not to judge myself for what I feel like in that moment, so to speak. But more times than not, it's some productivity time. But
you should do more of number 3.
Yeah.
Music or nothing.
Yeah.
And just get out and disconnect.
Yeah. I've been listening to government contracting podcasts. If you really want to know what's on my playlist,
real exciting shit.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's hilarious.
But it sounds, yeah. So, but it is a great. I can't really do books on like audio books, but
okay.
So I'd say that has that's been the biggest.
Do you read a lot?
I read a lot more before I had kids.
Okay.
I find it very hard. Jamie actually, joined a book club recently. She started reading more. I find it like I'm an all or nothing person. So like I'm not going to get like 10 minutes here and do a little bit. I need like, and so like with the kids, a lot of times I just try to calm it down before bed or something. So I don't end up reading as much as I would like. I can assure you there's nothing else on my bookshelf besides business books. I don't think I've ever read a fiction book. I'm not doing that. But I don't read as much as I would like. In fact, I've bought a lot of books that are sitting there unread that I would just like to read.
And so the audio, but you don't like the audiobook?
I don't love. I can do a podcast, but the audiobook, I don't know. I'm like a visual person. I don't know. I'm not.
You know what I listened to recently? And recently, who knows? It could have been a year ago. It could have been 3 months ago. Who knows? My way my brain works. But it was on an audiobook. I was just walking around, walking the hills, and it was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Kiyosaki. Mm-hmm. And it was like, you know what? This is kind of that's a boring book to read, right? But like the audio book, and it's him.
Yeah.
And if you've seen videos of him, so you know it's his voice, you can see he's a more of an animated type guy, and you could sense that as he was reading it, and like he gave great inflection differences in his voice and stuff like that. It wasn't just very monotone. Yeah. And I was like, you know what, this is actually a good listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I could listen to certain people.
When the person who wrote the book, the author, does the reading, that's usually more enjoyable.
Yeah, and then he stops, and then there's like notes, and then he'll read out and stuff like that. So that was actually pretty cool, and like that's anybody in business should. That's probably one of the books you should probably listen to or read.
Yeah. Fundamental.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah. Cool. How can people get a hold of you and Spruce and websites?
ChiavetaPropertyGroup.com is our workforce housing website, or ttkphilly.com. And then spruce-builders.com is our general contracting site.
I know Instagram. I know they put a lot of stuff out for the workforce housing.
I thought you were going to talk about my personal.
No,
you don't. I don't know if I've
you
ever
don't do any of that
there.
shit. Yeah.
Sometimes I check up on some people, but no, you're not going to see me posting social.
Yeah, you're a very private guy, which is to be respected.
Chiaveta's on Instagram. Guild House Hotel does Instagram and also website. So
cool.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on and catching up with us, and I appreciate our friendship and all the business insight that you've given us over the years. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
See you, everybody.
If you enjoyed our episode, please consider supporting the show by rating and reviewing the podcast. Also, check us out on Instagram at Atomic Real Estate Show to find out when new shows drop and to participate in our community Q&As. The Atomic Real Estate Show was brought to you by Direct Subs. Direct Subs is the #1 place for real estate investors to connect with local contractors for their flips, rentals, renovations, and new construction projects.